Go. Good evening. Have you ever wondered what Army basic training consists of? A lot of people think it's running through the woods and getting shot at and also getting yelled at by drill sergeants. While those things do happen, it's not the only things that happens during Army basic training. I'm Dustin Willis and would like to take 5 minutes of your time to talk to you about Army basic training. So first, what is Army basic training? According to Clark, less than 1% of the United States population will actually ever attend United States Army basic training. There's 4 locations which Army basic training is done at. First location is Fort Benning, Georgia. Fort Benning, Georgia is right outside Columbus, Georgia, and is the home of the infantry. This is where infantry soldiers go to basic training at. The next location is Fort Jackson, which is outside of Columbia, South Carolina. According to Hearn, 65% of all soldiers that go through basic training will go through basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. The next location is Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri is the home of the military police, the chemicals, and also the engineers. The final location is Fort Sill, Oklahoma. This is where most of the medical and the artillery go through training at. Army basic training is used to transform normal civilians into Army soldiers in a 9-week and 4-day course. So now that we've talked about the 4 locations which Army basic training is completed at, let's now talk about the 2 training options. There's 2 different training options that's done for Army basic training. The first option is what we call the split training option. During the split training option, soldiers complete Army basic training at one location and is then transported to another location to complete advanced individual training, such as their MOS or their specialty skill, which they're going on for. The other option is OSUT training, which stands for One Station Unit Training. One Station Unit Training is when soldiers complete Army basic training and advanced individual training in one setting with the same drill sergeants. According to Markenhap, apparently 35% of all Army basic training is OSUT training. So now let's talk about the reception station. When we first get off the bus at Army basic training, we do not automatically go into shooting guns and throwing live hand grenades. Unfortunately, you must go sit at the reception station for about a week. At reception, this is where you get your shots, you will get your uniforms, you will get the famous shaved head for males. Females will make sure that their hair is not colored a different color. They'll make sure that your pay information is correct, and also you'll have a lot of briefings during this time. Once you have your gear, you're ready to go downrange to basic training. Some things you need to be aware of is the daily life of a new soldier is a little different than the life as a normal civilian soldier. One thing that's different in Army basic training compared to normal civilian life is the food. Sometimes you may get what is known as a MRE, also called a meal ready to eat, which is 2,000 calories inside of a bag. According to Army Regulation 350-6, soldiers will have 10 minutes of set down time in order to eat their food. So you'll not have a lot of time to enjoy your food in basic training compared to normal civilian life. The only beverage that you'll have while you're at training is also going to be water. Another thing new to you is going to be sleep. According to Monez, soldiers are authorized to have 4 hours of continuous sleep while in basic combat training. You may get more sleep than 4 hours. However, you must have 4 hours continuous sleep per day. Another thing that's important in basic training is different is the gear. You carry a lot of different body armor while you're at training, also a weapon, and you'll have a gas mask at most places you go. A lot of gear, there's a lot of strain on your body, and it's a big adjustment. So now that we've talked about the daily lives while in basic combat training, let's talk about the 3 different phases that you will go through while you're in basic combat training. The first phase you'll go through is red phase. According to Goldish, all three phases are 3 weeks long, which again hints at the 9 weeks Army basic training. Red phase is your initial phase, and this is what we like to call as the toughening phase of Army basic training. During this time, you'll be introduced to the Army PT, what you do, a lot of drilling ceremonies, which is learning to march. You'll also be issued your weapon during this period, and you'll learn to be familiar with your weapon. You do a lot of obstacle courses such as the Victory Tower, and you'll also go through the famous gas chamber during red phase. At the end of your 3-week red phase, then you will move into white phase. The main requirements of white phase is going through weapons training. At the end of this 3 weeks, you should qualify with your weapon and be qualified with that weapon. And the next phase you go into is the blue phase class. This is the last 3 weeks of Army basic training. This is a lot more weapons familiarization and also field training exercises, rote marches, and also finally, last but not least, is finally the graduation ceremony of Army basic training. So Well, today we talked about what is Army Basic Training. We talked about the length. We talked about the location of it. We also talked about the reception station. We talked about some of the daily lives as an Army Basic Training. And also we talked about the phases of Army Basic Training. So now that you have this information, you should be ready to go downrange to basic training and conquer it without any questions or any concerns. So good luck to you downrange at basic training, and I hope you come back a qualified graduate. Thank you.